Hey guys, it's the social side. The revitalization of It's Consulting Time is back, and we're taking it back to the basics. That's B2TB. This curriculum-based season will shine a light on public education surrounding civics, community organizing, and trending topics. Guys, It's Consulting Time back to the basics is supporting the transformation of cultures and subcultures while building self-sufficiency and generating collective impact. Remember, purpose over popularity is always and will always be our motto. Tune in to It's Consulting Time back to the basics every Tuesday at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We're going to be on all platforms: YouTube, Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, and you can even catch a few clips on Instagram. It's Consulting Time back to the basics with your girl Lily Mae. See you there. Hello, and we are back. Guys, can you believe this is the finale? I mean, we have gone through every generation you can think of. And guys, I'm gonna keep it real. I'm excited. And you know why I'm excited? I'm excited because we've had an opportunity to really dive in and talk about generational characteristics. Now, like I told you early on in the game, this platform is to provide public education, okay? We will host subject matter experts from time to time to provide like empirical data and analysis, right? Because this is the thing. Everybody has an opinion, right? Everybody has an opinion. And sometimes these opinions are not backed by any evidence, right? So it's my sincere pleasure to bring you empirical data, but also special guests, right, who have expertise in said areas. So tonight, we are going to recap a little bit, but I want to give my special guest an opportunity to shine his light. And I want to give another one of my special guest co-hosts an opportunity to really speak from being a millennial. So tonight, we're going to present to you some millennials, some Gen Xers, and some boomers. And I'm just excited, guys. I'm so excited that we are able to have these conversations. You know, a lot of times we sit around and we talk about things and people just really, I don't think they really understand the importance, right, of conversation and dialogue, and disagreements are healthy. So guess what? I guarantee you we're going to disagree tonight. I guarantee you we are going to talk about some things and you're going to be like, I don't really know about that. That doesn't sound good. But guess what? That's what you're supposed to do, because you're supposed to be learning piece by piece, step by step, and bit by bit. So guys, I don't know about you, but I'm ready to bring this thing to the light. So let me bring out Mr. Quentin Hammock and the Honorable Mr. Jimmy Little.
Hey, when did I become honorable? Hello, everyone.
Honorable, honey, honorable. And before you guys even introduce yourself, I'm gonna tell you a story real quick about how I even met Mr. Littles. And now, first of all, let me say this, because y'all know I'm really not big on titles and positions, because I'd be like, okay, that's nice. But Mr. Littles just is bright, right? Just so bright, very welcoming and very loving. So we were at church, right? And he said, I'm going to take a picture of y'all. And so I was like, oh, because y'all know I'm always ready for a picture. And so then, we left or whatever. And this is how you know you're walking in purpose and you're being intentional, because Quentin and I were working on a production, and as we, matriculated through this production, we found out that it was not what we thought it was supposed to be, and it really wasn't what it should have been. But through that, we met someone, and the person that we met, expressed their, who they were and this, that, and the third. And y'all know me, I got on the phone and started asking because I don't believe. We in Atlanta. I don't know where y'all at, but we're in Atlanta, so I don't listen to what nobody tell me they do in Atlanta. I got to do some research at it. So I got on the phone, and the young lady said to me, "Yeah, I know that person, but you need to Google Mr. Jimmy Littles." And I was like, "Okay." Y'all, I started putting his name in the computer. And see, at first I spelled it Jimmy. When I put the I in, I said, "That's the man that took the picture of us." So
World.
needless to say, I say this all the time. Be careful how
Yes.
you treat people because you never know when your paths will cross again. So, guys,
That's right.
this
That's
is
right.
Jimmy Littles. Now, I'm gonna let him give you his resume, not his resume, his resume.
Thanks so much, Jelly. Hey, Quentin, what's up, my brother?
What's going on?
Hey, great. First of all, thanks for having me on the show this evening. I'm really excited about being here and hearing the questions that you have presented before us, talking about various things from the past through the present. But just to give you a little bit about me, originally a native of Camden, New Jersey, moved here to Atlanta in 1989. So just had an anniversary, Labor Day weekend. Was my celebratory anniversary of moving here to the city. And once I moved here, things really moved for me. I became highly blessed and favored, as they say, when I joined Ebenezer Baptist Church and have been a member there ever since, like 1990. Hold several offices in the church. I don't want to start listing them all and counting them on my fingers, but being a member for so many years, many of those positions you happen to be voluntold to do, and others you just simply wish to do because your spirit led. So I just thank my pastor, now he's honorable, the Honorable Senator Dr. Raphael G. Warnock, and the entire ministerial staff, all my friends and everyone there at Ebenezer. Have really helped to uplift my spirits throughout these years. And then I took a small break from the church when I traveled from 2000 to approximately 2003 as the house manager slash host of the world-renowned Universal Circus. So I traveled all over the United States from Boston to Miami and all the way out to the West Coast. That was an experience. That really was. As they say, I ran away and joined the circus, which I literally did. I ushered for the circus for a few years, and then I was offered a position to come on board and went on the road, and the rest was history. And then prior to that, I've done a lot of MC work and fashion, hair, commentary, beauty pageants, all of those types of things. And at one point, even had my own radio show that I was blessed with on called the Joy House back in the 90s. So, we talking some old things now again. But that's just a little bit about me. And so I'm happy again to be here. Thanks again.
Yes, yes, yes. So, guys, y'all see Quentin and I all the time. Y'all know we be out here creating and having a good time. So, I'm excited to have Quentin with me. And guess what? Our queen of the hour just checked in too. So let me bring out Brenda, child. Let me bring out Brenda.
Oh my God. Queen. Wow.
Yes. Okay, guys, like I said, tonight we are this is the grand finale for It's Consulting Time, month one, Back to the Basics. And guys, this has been a transition through generations. And y'all know my favorite generation gonna be the traditionalist generation, because my mom and daddy was in that generation. So and I don't know what y'all millennials out here doing. We got to get together, churn. But I think tonight is going to be super cool because, yes, I do. For once, guys, I have questions. Yeah. And so we're going to take a question and we're going to run with it. And just understand, guys, there is no format here. So we just let the spirit do what it want to do. All right.
Okay. All right, I'm ready. Here
All
we go.
right. So let's rock and roll. So, Mr. Jimmy, who is the person that influenced your life the most?
Wow. That is a loaded question. You ask who is the person. It has to be a combination of people.
Okay,
There
okay.
wasn't Yeah, there wasn't just one. I'm from a very heavily Christian Baptist based family. My grandfather, my father's mother, was a minister. His brother was a minister. On my dad's side of the family, his brother in law was a minister. We all went to the pretty much the same family church there in Camden, New Jersey. So it would definitely have to be family members. The male role models in my family were very instrumental. I was blessed, you all, to really grow up in an environment that had mother, father, siblings, all growing up together under one roof for many, many years until unfortunately divorce came. Well, that was 25 years into a marriage. We were all grown by that time, my siblings and I. So it was definitely family. Mother, very instrumental. She's gone on to glory, but I hear so many of her cliches in my head on a daily basis. Just fun things, pearls of wisdom. Speaking of pearls, my grandmother. Um, she was very instrumental as well. So again, it has to be family, but I just can't pick out one. It was a collaboration of everyone putting into the pot. It was raising a village back then. I remember stories, situations. You're outside playing as a young person, and mom tells you, "Okay, now Jimmy, don't go around the corner. I want you to stay on the block. I want to be able to look out the door and see you from corner to corner." Now, again, for those of you that may not know, I grew up in New Jersey in a neighborhood called Parkside, in an area that had row homes. So all of our homes were connected. You literally could hop the banisters from my house at 1275 all the way down to my grandparents' home at 1237 and never get wet on a rainy day. And as you're hopping the railings, you are speaking to all of your neighbors. Hey, Miss Johnson. How you doing, Miss Carter? Hi, Miss Phipps. As you're going crossing, and everybody's speaking. Hey, Jimmy, how you doing? So it was that type of thing. It was the neighborhood, which was again a lot of fun and all to be a part of. So being raised with a full family really helped an awful lot. Friends, I've been blessed with some really great friends, even some entertainers. I thought you were going to ask me who was my favorite entertainer, and without a doubt, I'm going to tell you it's still Diana Ross. Okay, the lady with the boss. I love Miss Ross. She's the only one who pays some money to see. The rest of these folks, I'm gonna have to catch you all on YouTube or some of these streaming channels.
Amen.
I don't already
Amen.
watch. No, no. Look, y'all, I don't watch Beyonce and Taylor Swift and all of them on YouTube. So I thank you all, Gen Zers and millennials, for hooking up YouTube. We ain't have no such thing back in my day. So you had to literally buy those tickets and go.
Oh
So,
my.
so and then, of course, above and beyond, the person who influenced me the most, of course, would be the teachings of Jesus Christ. He being the head of my life, and just following the guidelines and tutorings of Him through Christ Jesus. So those would be. It's just it's everyone. It's not one individual. Even some exes or few people that have come in and out of your life. They say you come into your life for a reason, a season, or a lifetime. And some of those people I still have in my life for a lifetime. Childhood friends. We went to elementary school together. We still talk to each other periodically. So, oh yeah, oh yeah. I still go back to the high school reunion. I think we're about to celebrate the 45th high school reunion of Pennsauken High School, graduating class of 1977. Rah rah. Yes. So yeah, I'm a real baby boomer here this evening. Lily's mouth is hanging open. I'm loving it. I'm
Oh
loving
my
it.
goodness. Well, no, let me tell you why my mouth is open though. You said class of 1977. And I'm laughing because I am a millennial and my mother graduated in 1957. But you know what I remember? I remember going to her class reunion,
Mhm.
and it was they would do it collectively. It was from the classes of 1937 through the class of 1973. And so that you just I already can envision what your class reunion is going to look like, and that's what makes me happy.
Well,
Absolutely.
the thing about it is, I graduated a class of 625. So when we in a predominantly white high school, when we have our reunions, we have a couple of hundred that still come out. We're blessed. To my knowledge, I've only heard of a few of my classmates that have passed on. Everybody else is pretty much still around. Thanks to Facebook, you can keep in touch with everybody under the sun. And so many of them I still see again just through social media. And everybody's still hanging in, looking forward to the reunions. And my class, because it was so large in my high school, each class still has their own independent reunion.
Wow,
So
that's a blessing. That's a blessing. We just
mm-hmm.
had a 20-year reunion, and I'm gonna be real with you. They were begging people to buy tickets. I don't think it was probably but about 30 or 40 people there, which is sad. But also
Oh,
we lost a lot of people, you know. But we're gonna get to that because I think there is a reason for that. And we're gonna get to that. So Brenda, who is the person who has influenced your life the most, darling?
Um, well, I would say mine is actually kind of similar to our guest tonight. I would say it's a combination of people in my community that I grew up with. I grew up in a predominantly white town, so everyone, basically all our skinfolk were kinfolk. Much like everybody knew everybody, like all the different churches, different black churches in the community. Everybody knew everybody. Someone was a cousin of somebody who went over here, and so it was a big influence of the church. I grew up in the Baptist church as well. Started singing on the choir at the age of 8. Definitely been influenced by my church. Biggest influence I would say so far in my journey because I want to continue to be educated and influenced by other people as well. But definitely that growing up. I graduated, like I said, predominantly white high school. I think our graduating class was like 505, and it was like 13 blacks,
oh
and
wow.
most of them were my cousins. Like, yeah, but that area has grown so much more now than when I grew up. And I graduated from high school in 1995. So, so I was born in 77. So,
Okay.
yep,
I love it. I love it.
yeah. So
I
it was
love that
definitely,
connection.
yeah.
Uh-huh.
So definitely, yes. I would say it would be people who influenced me in church. Encouraged me to keep going. Another thing that also influenced me as well was back in those days of the 90s with television, which I'm sure a lot of people from that area would say the same thing. A Different World influenced me to go to HBCU because I had the white experience. So I always had to be, I was always the underdog because of my skin color. But I had to prove myself in everything I did. I got scholarships to go to college, but I knew I wanted to go to HBCU because I wanted to be around my own people. So when I do graduate, and when I did graduate, I would be able to handle myself in whatever situation. That's how I looked at it.
Yeah,
Like I knew how I had to handle myself around the white folks, just keeping it real, keeping it in the book,
that's it. Yeah.
and then around our folk as well. So I wanted that balance. And my daughter actually was influenced the exact same way. She graduated from a predominantly white high school, and she attends the same HBCU that I attended. So so yeah, definitely television back in those days, like growing up. Let's see, the Cosby Show and in a different world was like in the late 80s, early
Yes.
90s. So I was a kid in elementary school, middle school. So it was
Yes.
a big influence at those times. Also music, because I've always been a singer and I've always been an actor. So I've always loved music and television, the movies, things of that nature. So those movies from back in the day, like even the 80s movies like with Molly Ringwald, like 16 Candles, those kind of movies, those movies heavily influenced me.
Wow.
Wow.
It really did.
Okay.
It gave me the the freedom of expression. Like I had no problem going around doing a scene in my grandmother's house, even though she thought I was crazy. But you know, I always wanted to act. I always wanted to perform. I always wanted to be on stage. So those things were a big influence for me. Big.
Absolutely.
Wow. See, guys, that's what this is about. There is already a connection there. Brenda's born in 1977, and Mr. Jimmy literally graduated in 1977. There's no coincidence there. It was meant to be. And I love every minute of it. All
Absolutely.
right, Mr. Quentin,
Absolutely.
let's go on and put that conversation up there. Ask that question for you. Who
Yes.
is the
It,
person or people who influenced your life the most?
it's definitely a collective of, people just through the years of just growth and expanding. So I'd say probably starting out, definitely had to be my mother, probably was my first source of this influence and like inspiration. Um, she was just a kind, compassionate person. She was a minister. I think we was talking this weekend. My family like explored different denominations and stuff of like Christianity and stuff. Just as they were really like explorative of like faith as we was growing up. And so no matter where we started off at Seven Day Adventist, I do sometimes remember going visiting like holiness churches, non-denominational, but my mom's original, came from a Baptist background. So, navigating all of those things, growing up, um, I seen her faith and like her love and compassion never like really wavered. So that was something that really like that, defines me today, so definitely give her credit for that. Um, she was also an entrepreneur. She was a master cosmetologist. So she was very creative. She could do anything with her hands. Like she was good at like, decor and just like kind of like bringing people together. So I find myself now even in that doing that through, my work and, media and stuff. So um, she could sing, like she was just a creative, like just could do a lot of different things. So I feel like me and my sister kind of made in her image and kind of her likeness. So um, when I would also say my father as well, because I grew up with both parents in the household, me and my sister. We kind of share similar. They were married 25 years. They waited until we were grown to divorce.
Wow.
So that was definitely something, to be able. That was it taught different lessons of love. It kind of like gave me an idea, a concept. Especially growing up as a same gender loving man, it really, kind of gave me a solid foundation on, love and, even if it was good or bad, it
Right.
kind of set the foundation and for, me to discover and figure out what those things looked out for me. So, um, uh, having both kind of like, gave me that balance of, still having that structure. So even though me and my father's relationship is not great, I still can give him credit for a lot of influences because I did not have, the influences that he did provide, I wouldn't be who I was today. Um, Moving later into life, it would be those same gender loving men that, are maybe baby boomers or um, from a previous generation that were able to show me examples of how to, be a successful gay black male in America and, living in the South. So definitely David Woods is somebody that passed 6 months before my mom passed that was very instrumental in my life. And now to have another role model, Jagadiza Dakis, now that those are like very like just instrumental people in my life that influence me, that I see the walk that they choose to explore through this life, and I try to not necessarily emulate it, but they're just good examples of how to live and lead. So And then all my creative family, like they always influence me. Lily, the creative group, like all of my friends that, we, share our ideas and, different thoughts and stuff together. So that's a big influence for me as well. So,
Wow. So, Q, you brought up a couple of different things, and I think in the grand scheme of things, as we talk about the generations, one thing we talked about last week was the fact that um Gen Zers and Gen Alpha are more inclusive. They have a heart for the people. They have a heart for equality and inclusion. And as I said earlier, while we lost a lot
Right.
from the traditionalist generation to Gen Zers, I think that maybe that's one of the things that I love even more about Gen Alpha, because let's look at our 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8 year old. Whether you have grandchildren or nieces and nephews, I have nieces and nephews. I look at how caring and concerned they are about everybody.
Okay. All right. Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, I'm talking about really concerned. Like, they're looking at TV at 4 and 5 years old saying, that police officer didn't do right, or that person didn't, like, they're able to understand and articulate, but they're also able to understand that's a bad boyfriend. That's a
Yeah.
bad girlfriend.
And we'll
So,
tell you.
yes.
Listen to the children, baby. They are innocent. They have no reason to lie. They really don't know how to lie, a lot of them.
But
So listen
for
Exactly.
to
you to say that,
all
for
that
you
is
to
talk.
say that, but think about what that traditionalist generation would say. Stay in a child's place.
right. That's right. That's right.
That's what it was.
Yeah, we
Uh-huh.
grew
But
up,
these children
They
now
spoken
know.
to. Mhm. Mhm. That's
definitely
right.
That
grew
is
up
so
with
Yeah.
it.
true. That is so true.
Yeah, but
Because
they're
like even
vocal.
like yeah, even like
And a
my
lot of
generation
stuff
growing up, we
that,
were like that too. We were like that too. Like we would see things, but we would never bring it out because we were told to stay in the child's place. You know what
That's
I mean?
right.
Like so it was like we would see things but just wasn't vocal about it. Like my daughter's generation, oh, they're very vocal about it. So I can imagine how the babies
yeah, my
are.
parents
You
would,
know?
like, once a month or so, they would gather us together. We would have like a table talk. And that was our time where we could like really like express anything without getting the hell knocked out of us or whatever. That was basically if it left past that table, God bless
Oh,
you.
that's
But
great. At least you got that. Gosh,
Yeah.
I'm
Well,
jealous.
now, see, I'm growing up. We did it at the dinner table every evening between 5 and 5:30.
We
When
did
Dad came in,
too.
when Dad came in from work, Mom was a stay-at-home mom for the first 13 years. I'm the oldest, so
mhm,
for the first 13 years, Mom stayed at home. When Dad got home, the dinner was on the table. He didn't have to wait; it was prepared. We would sit down as a family. We'd have grace. We'd eat, and we discussed the day. We had every opportunity to speak, to tell what happened in school, what's going on in our lives. My parents were very concerned and they made sure that they knew what was going on. Sometimes a little too much so, they'll be telling us stuff at the dinner table that we didn't know they knew about. But nonetheless, they were there for us. So it's great. It's great that that happened that way.
Yeah, indeed, indeed. It's so funny, that you said that. That was my experience. My mom was a stay-at-home mom. Now my dad retired when I was in first grade, so realistically, he won't really coming in from work.
No,
but
yeah,
but he might be out in the yard cutting grass, working on the cars. And it's so interesting when I think about the persons who influenced my life the most. Y'all know I always got to take it left. That's just me. I'm not going to focus on my parents and the village. I'm going to focus on the antagonist who truly influenced my life the most. And one of the first people to influence my life the most was my fifth grade teacher. And she was a Caucasian teacher. And I was in a special program. And you follow me? You
Yeah,
follow?
girl. Go ahead.
Okay.
I knew you was extra for a reason.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. And so we got over there. I had to be bused across town because, they only had, it's so weird, guys. They only had the academically gifted program at one school, right? At one school. So I had to be bused from one side of town to the other. That was already a culture shock, even though I was born in a small city. But I'll never forget that one teacher. She looked at me and she said, "You won't do a Black History project for Black History Month. You'll do your project on Native American history."
Well, why did she say that?
Well, number one, let me go on. I was the only little Black girl in the 5th grade academically gifted program at that time. And I
Okay.
was a very outspoken child. And no one else had questions about the assignment. We were given people that we had to choose from. So I
Okay.
raised my hand and said, "May I write about Dr. King along with Reverend Lyndall W. Chase, who was the pastor who marched with Dr. King in Danville, Virginia, when they snuck him into Danville, Virginia, in my home church that I grew up in, where my mom and them was cooking food in the basement.
All right. All right.
Reverend Dr. Abernathy and Reverend Dunlap and Reverend McGee. I wanted to write about the people that I knew about firsthand because my mother and father were right there in the heart of the movement. Oh yeah, I knew too much about Black history, and I was going to write about Native American history. I went home and told my mama. So that's the first thing, guys. Teach your children to come home and let you know. Now, don't go to school and fight, because that ain't what Betty Lou did. But anyway, that was the first person who influenced my life. And what was the influence? That lady influenced me to speak out, to respect authority, but to also speak out and navigate the system the right way. Sometimes we address things that we might not need to address. We need to go get somebody that's on a level playing field with that individual. And for me, that was my parent, right? Okay. So then fast forward, getting into college and things of that nature. I had another antagonist, right? And that antagonist came in the form of a supervisor I had. I worked in financial aid at my first school, and she was just really mean. Like, she was really mean. And I don't think she had no kids, because y'all remember that old lady back in the church back in the day that didn't have no kids, and she was just real, real mean. Mr. Jimmy, I know you know.
Oftentimes, that was at my grandfather's church. That was the chief usher, Miss Cousins. Oh, she was a mean church usher.
Yeah.
No kids.
Miss Essie was too old to be a church usher, but she was another person that influenced me, because y'all, this is so crazy. I think I had to be 3 or 4 years old. And my aunt said she told the new pastor when he came, "Oh, that one right there, oh, she hot as she can be. She gonna be knocked up before she 12 years old. Everything that came through that church done had a baby but me."
Okay, all right now. See?
And guys,
Wow.
y'all know I gotta flip it. I don't, because y'all hear me talk about my mother and father and my family all the time. So I want my rationale for this is they have given you your protagonists. They have talked to you about the people who really, really loved but understand this. The world doesn't always look like that. So I want you to take those people that have been mean, nasty, and rude to you, but think about how you overcame that. And then use that to fuel you forward, along with the love that you receive every day. Because realistically, guys, each of us said something together. The collective, the village. We all grew up with the village in some form or fashion.
That's right. You're right.
The other part is each of us said something else that I'm going to navigate, because this isn't one of the questions, but I think I want to take it there. Each of us talked about our Christian foundation. Do y'all realize that? Each of us
good thing. That's a good
talked
thing.
about that foundation. And so that means something, because that foundation is the ultimate influence for how we treat one another and how we serve.
Absolutely.
So
Absolutely.
I'm going to ask this question. How would you say, and we're going to go backwards, Q, I'm going to start with you. How would you say you truly understood and began to realize what being a Christian really meant?
Um, I think I like really found out like in my like early 30s. Um, because growing up, like I said, we I understood what the faith, but um, church was, sometimes it can be performative, or and all those different things. So I understood reading the Bible, I understood praying, but like to have a real like uh focus, like where a spirit and like led everything that I do. I think that I did not really gather that until like 30. But I've always had like that base, that faith, and belief. So I mean, after leaving my parents' house, like I, of course, like questioned things. I don't think it was ever no time where I was just like, I don't believe. I may have like, called it something else, or, spirituality, or, whatever. But, I've always kind of came back to, my roots. The Even now, like, I mean, I've read the Bible all my life, but every time you can go back in it and get a different revelation, or a different, you know, just understanding. So I say, yeah, that's really when I was in Chicago. Actually, is when I was like in that balance of like physical, like
Yeah, yeah.
warfare, spiritual warfare, and I was just like, like the answer is always spirit led. So.
Wow.
Mhm.
Whoo.
Very
Okay.
good.
Okay.
All right.
Early 30s. Okay. All right, Brenda, let's go.
I would say it would be my mid 20s going towards my 30s. I had my daughter when I was 25. So when I became a mother and when I got married and had a family of my own, I started realizing that it's more to church than church. Like you said, the performative thing. Like I said, I've been singing and acting since I was a kid, right? But I got my foundation on how to perform, and honestly, in church.
Right.
Just like
Yeah.
when we rehearse, just like when we rehearse for plays or whatever. Oh, if you don't know
That's
your
right.
lines, keep going. That's why I
Right.
learned. If I mess up, keep going. Was right there in church. That's why I learned how to present and perform was in church. So fast forward to when I got married and then I had my daughter, I could feel myself outgrowing my home church at that time. And it's like I just wasn't being fed. I knew I wasn't being fed. I was just given the same thing, same little Bible story every Easter, every Mother's Day. Granted, I was there every Sunday because I was serving on the choir on a praise team. But those same messages just weren't seeping in because I was at a new level in my life where it wasn't just about Brenda. It was about I have a husband now, I have a daughter, I have somebody I'm responsible for that I'm going to have to raise in this evil world that we live in. And I'm going to need a lot more tools than what I was given from the age of 8 to 21. You know what I mean? So that's when it hit for me. When we changed churches, we went from a Baptist church to a non denominational church. And that's when I really started growing in God's word and learning how to turn the other cheek and to bite my tongue and to treat people the way they really don't deserve to be treated, but God will award you for it. That's when it
Yeah.
happened for me, big time.
Yeah.
Hmm.
When I became responsible for somebody else, and I knew that I had the responsibility on my shoulders as well as my own spiritual growth, that's when it happened for me.
Mm. I'm gonna let you have it. I'm gonna let you have it. Come on, Mr. Jimmy. I'm gonna let her
That's
have it.
fine. That's
Uh-uh.
fine. Yeah, yeah, she's gonna get that one. For me, actually, as I aforementioned, growing up in a biblical home, the grandparents and mothers and uncles and all, it was always rooted in me. I joined the church at age 13 and became an usher at that point, still ushering to this day. I got my foundation early in life through the church, but at the same time, still being a teenager, still being a young adult, still going to the clubs on Saturday night. But I'd be in church on Sunday morning now. Okay, it may not be feeling all the best all the time, but that still
Period.
was part of the growing nature of learning Bible. You learn the good, the bad. You ain't supposed to be, if you're a Christian man, you're not supposed to be out in the nightclubs drinking and carousing with the darkness. Now, come on up out of that. So it took throughout the years.
Yes.
Now, like I
Come on,
said,
Bishop.
don't get me wrong. Yeah, I was a teenager now. I did all the young folks stuff. We hung out, we partied, oh yeah, I ain't gonna lie to you. We drank, we did all the stuff you do growing up.
Yes.
But I'm telling you, when I actually heard God's voice, and that is when I was 30 years old, and I had come here to Atlanta that Labor Day weekend of 1989 to simply commentate a new friend's fashion show around her pool for her 40th birthday. Had no indication that I would ever stay here. I was coming for the weekend. Well, at that time, they brought me to a location downtown, which I'm now currently still residing in. This is my third time in this location. But in the very beginning, in 1989, this was more of an extended type of hotel. Legislators stayed here, celebrities. It was a who's who, very recognizable condo building downtown. So I'm laying there. I'll never forget. It was in September, Labor Day weekend. Gorgeous weather. I had the windows cracked and the breeze was blowing. The curtains in the room in the condo were blowing. It was during that era when everything was teal and mauve florals. Y'all remember those colors, don't y'all? Okay, so that was in the early 90s, late 80s. Anyway, I'm lying back on the sofa and I hear the master's voice for the first time. And he said, "You can have all of this, but you have to start from the bottom first." I did not know what he meant. And I sat up. I was lying on the sofa. I kind of sat up and I'm like, what did I just hear? And that's when I learned to really tune into the master's voice, to know it and to hear it. It's God's voice when he says or tells you something that you have to say, huh? You want me to do what? What, huh? When it's foreign to you, the first voice you hear, folks, is always going to be the Holy Spirit speaking to you. When you start doubting yourself and think, now you don't let the enemy slip in, you into yourself, you're not doing what you're supposed to be doing. So now what starting over meant was that, okay, landed a job that weekend at the party. Now I'm going to stay here in Atlanta. I moved home. I went back home for a week or so, packed up everything, came back and stayed and moved on. But it was that first initial point. When I moved back, I stayed in a hotel, a seedy hotel, which is no longer around. It was the Red Carpet Inn at 14th and Spring Street downtown. I lived in the room 325 for 2 years and 2 months. We lived like royalty. And by this time, I had my dishes and all that stuff we had packed up and had arrived from New Jersey. I entertained in the room. We had Thanksgiving dinner. I cooked in the room using a hot plate, a toaster oven, and a deep fryer. We had Thanksgiving dinner, girls. I mean, guys, let me tell you. And so things like that. And then my friend, who was a psychic, psychic is a strong word, but that's what she was. But we prefer to call her an intuitive counselor. She called me this one February morning and she said, "Get up, go back down to where you were when we first brought you here. There is a condo there with your name on it." I immediately did what she said, got up out of bed, put on some clothes, brushed my teeth, went on downtown. Sure enough, there was a list that the concierge would give you of all of the owners that had units for rent. I called one of the landlords, one of the owners, subsequently moved in, lived in the building for 3 years. Now it was time to move on again. The Olympics had come. I moved on to a different location. Again, still following the Lord's voice. And to this day, I'm now back in the place. I've lived here now 13 years. So for three times, the Lord brought me back to the same location. And now I'm up on the 20th floor. Before I was on the 6th floor, now I'm on the 20th floor. So he move you on up in life, okay?
Oh, moving on up to the inside.
Yes, indeed, he move you on up. So that would be my influence is just listening to God from the age of 13 up into present day. Yes, in present day. So I've learned to listen. Sometimes I'm a little stubborn, but I listen. I listen. Oh yeah. Uh-huh.
The deluxe apartment in the sky.
Yeah, I got a lovely view. I ain't gonna lie to you. It's sweet. Okay.
Wow. Oh my goodness. I love it. I love it. Guys, if you're just tapping in, we've been here for a while and we're at almost a quarter of the next hour. And I'm just so excited because we've talked about family. We've talked about God as the head. We've talked about listening and hearing God's voice so you can truly understand what it is that you're supposed to be doing. And one of the things, guys, that understanding and listening to what Mr. Jimmy just said, it's so important that I like to say, your purpose is rooted within you. You got these purpose coaches and and I'm not knocking what anybody do to make their bread, but I'm a firm believer that what is your purpose? It's in you, it's instilled in you, and it's up to you, like he said, to listen, because that's how you really figure out what it is. And I love the fact that you said you kept moving and moving and moving, but you kept going back to the basics where you started.
You started.
And I think, and that's beautiful. It's beautiful. My mother told me when I left for college, she said, now let me tell you something, girl. You leave home in such a way that you can always return. And honey, I'm
Yes.
so grateful. I'm so grateful that anywhere I have been, I can go back.
That's right. Don't burn no bridges, y'all.
What?
Always be able to go back. You never know when those same people you meet on the way up in life, you're gonna meet on the way back down in life. You got to be able to be respectful to everybody. Don't burn no bridges, children.
I'm trying to put rocks at the door for people. I'm trying to tell you.
Right. Exactly.
Wow. I when I think about it, just like you, I grew up in a home where it was just so funny. Like my dad was Bible teaching, Bible preaching. He won't play it, like it was by the book. But we had a good balance because my mom was real practical with it. And they had a 10-year difference. So my dad was orthodox and my mom was like revolutionary orthodox. So we would have to sit at the kitchen table, y'all. I'm like 2, 3, 4 years old. We sitting at the kitchen table. And I don't know why his favorite verse to make us learn was the wages of sin is death. But my daddy was real country. So he would say the wages of sin is death. But the gift of God is eternal life through Christ Jesus. So guys, realistically, I had to understand that.
Mm-hmm.
Before I could do anything else, right? Consequently, when I truly understood what being a Christian was and what truly walking in his word was when my dad went into Alzheimer's.
Oh.
When I was between 12 and 14 at the time, because dementia is a very right, and so we didn't really know. And back, in the late 90s, there wasn't advanced technology. But I remember thinking to myself, there have been sacrifices throughout the word. So if I sacrifice myself, my daddy will live. And my mama had to snap me back into reality. See, there go that balance right there.
Yeah, yeah.
But when I saw him go through that process, I realized what everything he had taught meant. And you can die a spiritual death and still be walking around on this earth.
Absolutely. Oh yeah. Oh yes. That's some dead in Christ gonna rise first. Some spiritual
And you better, and those who
death.
remain will be caught up in the
Correct.
comment.
That's
You
right.
better
That's
tell
right.
it.
See?
So
See?
that's when I realized it. When my daddy shut his eyes and people didn't understand. When I tell y'all we partied, and you know, and this how you know all the folks, this church folks don't have to be Christian folks. The church
Oh yeah.
folks, oh, they thought it, oh, well, why y'all not at home? Your daddy dead and people coming to visit. And we thinking to ourselves, we learned at a young age. You weep when these babies come into this world, and you rejoice when they leave up out here.
Amen. That's
We were
right.
happy that he was dead, but he taught us,
Right. Where he would be in a better place. That's
baby.
right.
Let me tell. And I know, and we knew he didn't want to be like that. And then he spoke again, and I heard it just as clear, and I understood my journey even more when my mother died. It's almost 1 year. October 2nd will be 1 year, and that night, I kid you not, when she took her last breath in my ear, I swear every breath in her body came into me. And I said, you know what? I can't be on this road no more. I don't need to be out here at this place and that place and this place. Those people are not my people. I
That's
gotta
right.
reach my people.
That's right.
He was
Amen.
up there with the celebrities and the influencers. He was on the streets.
Mm-hmm. 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 That's
So
right.
I need to be amongst the people that actually need to see the walk, right?
Yeah.
They need
Mm-hmm.
to be able to feel and understand, no, it's not like this for real. This is what real life looks like. And those things, those
Same.
things truly is when God really spoke to me. But you know what? I also realized that's because I was still in those moments.
In the moment. Okay, you got to come out those moments. Got to be transformed, like you said. See,
Woo!
so
Yep.
you'll be able to hear and know what He means and wants us to do. You got to come out the world. You got to. We say be of the world, but be in the world, but not of the world.
My. Listen, and guys, this ain't Tuesday night Bible study, but I'm trying to tell you, y'all already know I will turn up and I will lay you out, but I do it in love because at the end of the day, I am who I am, and
That's right.
my
That's right.
foundation was built on trusting
Love.
God and living in His Word. And one thing about it, these people under the sound of my voice and before you truly live their lives in that way. And this conversation is so important when we talk about these generations, because once again I go back to, there was a time when you would be thrown out of the church if you
Oh,
came up pregnant without being married,
Yeah.
if you were openly gay,
Yeah.
if you came up in there
Force.
turned up drunk, and all of that. But you know what's so interesting, guys? It's so interesting to me. Y'all remember back in the day, and it's, you know, we know it's still going today, and today it's a little more open, but you know, back in the day, it was all these relatives in the church.
mm-hmm.
It was a whole lot of half sisters and brothers in the church. But yet, when the children stepped out of line, it was a problem. And I just think about how we've evolved from ostracizing people and kicking them out of a building
Yeah.
to truly, and I know in some instances it's not the case everywhere, but to truly embracing people as we should.
And I think, Lily, is because the things that you hate the most, the Lord puts before you first. So all those people who browbeated gay people or didn't like interracial marriages or whatever, it is in their family. So somebody else in their family came out, another relative married somebody of a different race. So now it's put before you. I had a great fear and still don't really like rodents and mice and all, but I always said that when I lived here the second time, I saw a little mouse trap in the cabinet when I moved in, but didn't know anything and know why. But sometime later, I met with a little mouse that I called Glenda. And I always said that Glenda was a cute little mouse. She really was before I had to get her butt killed because I couldn't live with the mouse. But I always said that if a mouse came up in here, they could have the place. I'm leaving. I can't be bothered. I wasn't leaving my condo for no little blasted mouse. But the Lord put the fear of the mouse before me, so I had to deal with it. And I dealt with it. It's okay now. I still don't like them, but I'm not going to try to give up no building for them. Their butts are going, okay? Trust me. So he will certainly put that fear before you so that you will overcome it. Oh, yeah. No matter what it is.
It's funny you said that. I take pride in that because recently it was a spider in my room, and I'm like terrified of spiders. And like, I thought two things. I was like, I could just kill it, or that would be my usual thing. But I literally let that spider put me out the room. I had moved my bed and everything. I was like, the spider is not going to fall on the bed or nothing. So,
my God.
The thing that came to my mind was fear. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to do something different this time. So I went and I got a broom and a dustpan, and I actually took the spider outside, because, even in it. Now, I did have another situation that followed weeks later where a spider came in through the front door. And this was one of those spirit moments where spirit was like, do you want to sweep it or do you need to kill it? And my roommate came in and said, it's bug spray under the counter. And I said, you know what? I'm going to go with that. As soon as I sprayed the spider, it was carrying its babies on its back. And the spiders it was like 50 spiders that came off of the spider. So if I had tried to sweep that spider up, those spiders would have just went everywhere. So, it's just like knowing, like, to really, like you said, listening to that first voice and like going with your gut, like, really that hard space and mind space clear, honey, so the messages can come through.
Ooh, that's crazy. I'm telling you, it's so amazing the things in nature. He uses nature to teach us all the time. It's so weird. Think back to school when we had to do the science projects and we were learning photosynthesis and we had to, plant seeds and wait for it to grow. And I just think about that. Like, even in our education, we were still learning about God's creation.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Realistically, wow.
All of it is beautiful. Even though it may be you may have a phobia or fear or something, it's still you find some type of beauty in it. It goes through a life cycle. Spiders build beautiful webs. It's tied to creativity and just protection. So it's beauty and blessings in all God's creation. So
this is true. But I'm gonna tell you, Kill, if an insect come up in my house, the insect is dead. But I'm not gonna kill it. But if I'm outside, I'm not gonna kill the insect because that's their house. So I'm not gonna be out there killing bugs. But if them bugs come in my house, Ray, they are dead, baby.
Oh my God!
The fruit flies are the worst.
Yes, Jesus.
They are.
They
That's
are.
why I set up a trap for them. The little apple cider vinegar in the jar, poke the holes.
Yep.
Gets them every time.
Old school.
Yeah, because they got to go. And it's just like you think it's one, and they bold. They'll get on your face, and
oh yeah. And they're so tiny you can barely see them. They're annoying. Oh yeah. Mhm.
Guys, once again, if y'all just checking in, we're gonna start winding up, but we want you to know that you can be from varying generations, but have similar, if not the same, experiences. But you can also have different experiences and different vantage points and still have an amazing conversation. But it's a beauty and the joy in knowing that you can put four people together that don't know each other collectively and have a beautiful conversation like this. And that's what being intentional and operating in the spirit of authenticity is all about. Yes, yes, yes.
Amen.
So, as we begin to wind down, what life advice would you pass along to the young people? And we're going to start with you, Brenda.
I would say the exact same thing I said. When was that? A couple months ago when I was with you for that.
Uh huh. On the panel. Yep.
Yeah, I would say treat people right because it always comes back to you. You want to be biblical about it? Okay, you reap what you sow.
That's it.
There's so many ways to say that, but like just treat people the way you want to be treated,
Yeah.
even when they don't deserve it. Because
Hey,
there are a lot of people who don't deserve it. But that's not your battle to fight. That's God's battle. So you got to be responsible for you and how you treat them.
That's right.
That's on you. So yeah, that's what I would say. Treat people right because it always comes back to you.
Yes, 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 yes. All right, Q.
um, future young people generation, lead intentionally, just lead with purpose because, when you operating in that, like, that's where you really like, get your blessings. That's where you're able to like, really like, you're doing something you love, you're nurturing a gift. And the Bible says, you do that, it definitely makes room for you. So, um, definitely get with others, previous before us. Those stories are important. Um, they very important. Like, the times may be different, but honestly, it's nothing new under the sun. They did it in a different generation, and they can really provide wisdom and knowledge for you to you know apply the innovativeness or some thought around it. So and then what would I say? Um just speak to everybody. You don't know who people are. We this new generation, we get caught up in celebrity names. And just last week we was in Detroit and we spoke with the guy that was working the door, and he ended up being a radio host and just a plethora of other things. Stop making the beeline for the celebrity, and just like learn the room. These are the people that at the end of the day are going to be able to help to nurture your gift, be able to kind of like lead and guide you, and just by listening. As don't everything. We don't have to like always take everything in. I grew up on take the meat, leave the bone philosophy. So somebody's sharing something with you or whatever, you don't have to take all of it. It's some meat in there, but those things that that don't apply to you, you know move it to the side, or you may be able to bless somebody else with it. So that's it.
Y'all going there. All right, Miss Jimmy, you ready?
Yeah, I'm just gonna say a couple of short things that I would tell young people of today. Um, think first in all things that you're going to be doing in your life. Think first before is that old adage: think before you leap, look before you leap. But think about what you're about to do first. Follow your spirit. Be an individual. Be that person that the Lord has created you to be, and only you know who that person is because you're the only one that knows who you are eternally. So follow your spirit. Um, keep on living. Keep following your dreams, following your heart's desires, relationships, jobs. You want to move. You want to live here. You want to do this. Follow your own dreams. Follow your dreams. Don't sweat the small stuff. It's all small stuff. In life, don't get bent up out of shape over the little things in life, because when you realize it and look back, everything is a little thing. You're going to get over it. It may seem monumentous in your life at the time. In prayer, supplication, you'll get over it. And when you look back, you'll say, hey, that really wasn't that difficult. I'm going to give you guys a prime example of what I mean by this. I recently had, first time I'm sharing, recently, as of yesterday, had a prostate biopsy because I have been having some areas, what I thought was some areas of concern. Well, it turns out after doing the MRI and the second biopsy, they messed up the first one. So yesterday was the second. I get a call from the doctor today that I have prostate cancer. Oh, really? Okay, well, I know the Lord's going to bring me right through the prostate cancer because He brought me straight through without not one side effect or anything 5 years ago when I had inoperable stage 3 lung cancer. I had 30 treatments of radiation and 6 of chemotherapy happening simultaneously. So on Tuesdays was the rough day when I had to do both of them. Ladies and gentlemen, when I tell you that the Lord brought me through all of that without being scarred, I can't tell you. All the things that you've ever heard about a person on those drugs, on chemotherapy, on radiation, the heartache they had, the weight loss, the sickness, I had none of that. I would literally go run home from my appointments because at the time I wasn't driving. Run home from my appointment, which I lived downtown, not too far from Grady. Come home, put my feet up, and play with the remote control all afternoon. I didn't know that I had cancer until the doctors told me. I didn't know I didn't have it any longer until they told me, and I rang the bell. Every day, folks, I got up and went to bed feeling the exact same way. Wonderful. Because I prayed over myself, I instilled positivity, I read scriptures that called for healing and all of those things. So it's the same thing that I'm going through now. I'm in no type of pain or discomfort. The only way that we know that there is some cancer going on is because the biopsy has proven it. But again, I know the Lord's going to bring me right on through this as well. So again, have faith in all the things that you do. Follow your spirit, keep living, and don't sweat the small stuff because it's all small stuff.
Amen.
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 That's it. That's it, guys. Guys, this has been an amazing, amazing, amazing month. Amazing month of conversations. But tonight, this was truly a finale. This is what it was supposed to be. Thank each of you. Thank each of you for being here with me. Brenda, thank you for hanging in there for a couple of weeks. And I know that there's more to come. Um, Guys, this month we've learned about generational differences. We've talked about accepting and embracing those differences, but I want you to now go out and understand how to attract and mentor across generations using your social medias. But understand this, the definition of social communication is not just face to face, it's not just social media, but understanding social communication is the big step towards bringing generations together. And that's what we did tonight, guys. We
Yeah.
used social communication to bring people together. Mr. Jimmy, we are praying for you. We are going to pray for you. We're going to keep praying for you because we know that He is able and He has done it time and time again. And where 2 or 3 are gathered, He is in the midst. And so we give it to Him now, and it is done. It is done. So, guys, and I'm going to close y'all out the way I know to close it out when I was a child. May the Lord watch between me and thee while we're absent, one from another. And there's no amen on the mispa. All right, y'all, we are out. It was
Thank
real.
you.
Lily, congratulations on a beautiful season. So here's to a good season.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I enjoyed
All
myself.
right,
Thanks
you
so much.
guys will be back. Guys, don't forget October is all about politics and policy. So stay tuned for some posts. Guys, thanks again, and we are out.
Bye.